Bada bing, bada boom. We're back. Going to continue our Blazer series, looking at some of our guys, individual player analysis. And when I say player analysis, we'll have some times where we're looking into a guy's game, right? What is their first option, their second option, their third option? What are their counters? What is their footwork like? What type of footworks are they good at? What type of shots do they get to? How are they getting their buckets, defensive, blah, 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 blah. We're going to talk about all that. But, with this series, we're just kind of talking about our guys, what they look like for us, what they have looked like for us, and what we expect out of them in the future. And Shaden Sharp, man, this is a polarizing guy coming into the league, right? He was a complete question mark. Nobody knew what Shaden Sharp was. He didn't play any in college, in high school, straight EYBL stuff. And it was really just travel ball film. It was just highlights, what everybody was seeing. And the Blazers took a chance on him. Now, I think for the position we were at, I believe it was 7. It was a really good chance to take on a high ceiling, lower floor type of player. And this guy's blossomed for us. You know what I mean? He's blossomed and he shows so much promise. His athleticism is out of this world, like top 5 in probably the world. Basketball, I think, is the sport out of every sport in the world that requires the most athleticism. Why? Because it's dynamic, right? You have to be able to jump. You have to be able to move laterally. You have to be able to be stable and adapt to different movements and styles. And the styles of movement in basketball, there's just a wider range of those than in other sports. With that being said, Shaden Sharp is a top 5 mover in the world. Shout out Coleman Ayers by any means. That's something I'm doing a certification under him. We're kind of like studying movement right now, and the psychology behind it and how to train it, action capacity and movement variability, and some of these different terms that may seem weird or complex to you now. But as we incorporate this into, what we're looking at, the film study and just talking about players, you'll start to kind of see where it plays into guys' games. And Shaden Sharp's action capacity is unreal, right? Whether it's that, like spotting a high foot and, all right, I'm getting my high cross and I'm getting my inside shoulder around his outside hip, or it's, all right, I'm seeing a pass and I got to make it really quickly. His action capacity is unreal, because he's just trained his body for so many movements and actions and different outputs. He's just able to adapt and use some variation of something he's trained in pretty much every situation. And so that's what makes him special is his movement, his athleticism, and, really the movement. The athleticism comes from the movement, and that is trainable. But, to an extent is definitely talent, is definitely genetics. But this guy, he's definitely worked his butt off since getting in the league. You see massive progress. And this year, what I'm seeing is a big mental effort. He's just making so much bigger mental effort in every aspect, whether he's off the ball and he's like spacing and he's moving to, actually keep the defender out of the passing lane while being open, spotting up, or whether it's like making a decision 2-3 dribbles into his drive or off the pick and roll or whatever it may be. What I see that impresses me the most is his defensive effort, and more importantly, his defensive IQ. Just some of the basic stuff that has got to be autonomous to you in basketball so that you can, allocate your focus and your efforts more towards the things that, are production that your team needs out of you. And he's been able to do that, right? Like for the first 2 or 3 years on the defensive end, he looked like a lost dog. Like, you see him on the side of the highway, just sad, confused, and you say a little prayer for him. That's what he looked like on defense for the past 2 years. And this year, he's having lapses. He's having times where he's just eating alive. I'm not even gonna lie, but that is very rare. And compared to last year, extremely, extremely rare. I mean, a massive difference. He's hunting the ball now. And as a guy for, the entirety of his life has just been a fast break demon, right? 360 Wendy's and everything you can imagine. This is a guy that should be looking for pick sixes is what we call them. Pick sixes, very obvious, right? You're getting a steal and you're going all the way. You're usually getting it at the top of the key or, around that wing area to where nobody's able to get back in time. He should be looking for those all the time. And this year, that's what I'm seeing is just constantly hunting that. And the threat of that allows everybody else to play more conservative and then have a little bit more structured and uniform defense. But it's helped him because the threat of that, like it's just a subconscious thing, right? When players see you, even if it's just early in the game, whether it's like hounding them at half court, being physical, or going for a steal off the ball, they're taking note of that, even when they don't know it. And so later in the game, they're just less likely to go at you, to isolate you, or try to pick on you, because subconsciously they know, all right, that guy's coming. You know what I mean? Pause. All right, that's why I got to start doing shorts anyway. But Shaedon Sharpe, man, this dude's gonna be special. He's gonna be like a 30-point per game special. Now, I also got to be realistic and temper expectations, taper, whatever. Shaedon Sharpe kind of gives me Brad Beal vibes. You know what I mean? In the sense that I think there's going to be a point where Shaedon Sharpe's dropping 30, and people will be saying, "Is the impact there?" You know. And I really hope it is. I believe it will be. I believe in him. And I'm also biased. No doubt about it. I'm a Blazers guy. So I believe that he's going to do the intangible things and the things to supplement his greatness, right? But that's not a promise. That's not a promise. What is a promise right now is what we've already seen and what he's already achieved. And that's being a 20-point per game, dangerous scorer, high flyer, a guy that the other team is actually preparing for, right? I've seen it. It's very obvious. Early on this year, he struggled a little bit because, my bad for the ads, because teams were preparing for him. And for his whole life, well, not his whole life, for his NBA career, he was, working against people who didn't really know who he was, right? These NBA guys, they don't care. You got to earn it. And now he's earned it. And so he's getting tougher looks. He's the guy. He hadn't even played all that much with Denny. He's been out a lot, and then Denny's been out a lot. So they just haven't been on the court that much together. And a part of me is a little bit concerned about how that'll look and how, consistent they'll be able to put up numbers and produce together on the court together. I think a lot of it will kind of have to be one operating when the other one's getting rest or whatever. They'll have to figure it out whenever those times kind of like interlap. But there's some concern there. But as far as like just being a guy that thrives in this league, he has a future as long as he wants to play, until the day that he, the NBA says, hey, you got to go play baseball for a few years because we can't tell anybody about this gambling, Michael Jordan. Until somebody does that, that boy's going to be here and he's going to be passing out buckets for a minute. It's not going away anytime soon. And that three-point shot is beautiful. Listen, I know I'm not sure what the percentage is right now, especially this year. But the shot is beautiful. It's very obvious. It's a one-motion or two-motion shot, depending on the situation, which is ideal for a shooter, unless you're Steph Curry and, you just make it happen anyway. But that's what I'm talking about with the pick sixes right there. The shot is going to continue to get more consistent as far as numbers. And that also is going to come with like him understanding where do his shots come from, right? Early on, his threes were coming off catch and shoot, and mainly deep catch and shoot threes where he was trying to space on the wing, and they were kind of using the threat of him hitting those threes to space one guy on the short side of the court. And now it's more off the dribble, right? And that takes some adjusting. He's adjusted quickly in relative to what guards do and the percentages they shoot when they take this jump. But, he does have a long way to go. So this is our long-term future. Listen, this offseason, we gave 2 big contracts out. We gave one to Toumani Camara, and we gave one to Shaedon Sharpe. You just saw the Toumani video. If not, I'll try to attach it here if I can figure out how to do that or have the time to do that. Check it out. But those 2 guys are very, very important. And why are they important? Why should you care? Why should you watch that video? Because Shaedon Sharpe is the future of the Blazers offense, and Toumani Camara is the future of the Blazers defense. And it doesn't matter what happens now or next year or the year after, or with Dame or with Drew or with anybody else that may come along. What matters is that those guys stay here for the foreseeable future, because they have so much promise at such a young age, and they're starting to mature quicker than I think most players mature with that talent. And so, we went ahead and locked them up, giving them both $20 million a year for the next 4 years. We just got to pray to God that they're not worth $50 million a year. in 4 years, because I guarantee you Toumani Camara is one of the defensive player of the year before then. In the next 4 years, I think next year, Shaedon Sharpe, I don't know who I think is more likely to win MIP than him next year. Actually, see, that's tough, right? Because where are the shots going to come from? Denny's going to be taking another small step up, and just with him back in general, and then Dame's going to come back. He's going to be taking a lot of shots, right? Scoot just came back. Scoot has to have the ball. He's an operator. Caleb Love, who I absolutely love, like one of my favorite Blazers. Awesome. So sad to see him on the bench now that Scoot's back. But like even him in the game, like he needs the ball in his, well, he doesn't need it, but we want it in his hands. So it's like, where are the shots going to come from? We're going to have to see. That'll be a big question going forward, and for the long-term future as well. You know, if we plan to have Denny here, and obviously we want Denny here. And then, you know, Donovan Clingan at some point might get to the point where he's worth a couple post touches in a game. You know, now he's just the high screen, like the high pick and roll playmaker. He's you know, a play finisher off the alley-oop and off the dunker spot, you know, bounce passes. But right now, Donovan Clingan's not actually taking his own shots. We're not feeding him. What happens when that is you know, incorporated into our offense? What about Dame? What about Drew being consistently available? What about Scoot? So these are questions that are yet to be answered. And I'm even talking myself into it to the point where, like, I'm like, man, next year, yeah, we're going to be great. We're going to be awesome. I'm excited. But, you know, does Shaedon take a big step down? Somebody has to. It'll be him or Dame. And I guess it has to be both to an extent. But, yeah, this is a guy that it's going to be a fun watch, and he's going to be giving us highlights like this. You've been seeing some of it in the background if the video is coming across decent. He's going to be giving us highlights and people fun stuff to watch for many years to come. So this is the future of the Blazers, futures of the Blazers offense, and I think he's the 2027 most improved player. I got him locked in. So let me know what you think. Tap in with the other videos, and appreciate you. Have a good one. Peace.